welcome. This is an audio experience with Maximizing Moments with Milton.
All right, are you ready? I am ready. Okay, here we go. If you're ready, I am ready to rock and roll.
Hey, Maximizers, this is Milton Herring, MiltonHerring.com. Thanks for joining me on this 2-on-1 with Christine Luken. I want to share about Christine and her background. So Christine right now, she's a financial lifeguard. She's a money coach, a speaker, and the author of Manage Money Like a Boss, a financial guide for creative entrepreneurs. And money is emotional. Prevent your heart from hijacking your wallet. She empowers her clients to rescue their financial dignity by creating a prosperity plan to decrease debt, increase savings, and direct spending to what's really important to them. Having hit financial rock bottom herself in her 20s, and I'll let her share more about that, she never judges people for their money messes. Christine openly shares the many mistakes she made and the lessons she learned on her road back to financial health. Christine has a degree in accounting and is an active member of the Financial Therapy Association. She has over a decade of financial counseling experience, both with individuals and small business owners. Christine teaches her corporate money wellness classes to employees all over the country via webinar and lives in the Cincinnati area. You can find her at www.christineluken.com. That's ChristineLuken.com. Welcome, Christine. Appreciate welcoming you to the show.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. I'm totally excited and pumped up about this episode today because money is a very sensitive topic to a lot of different people. And I want to hear more about your background. If you can give us some more context, your story from the 20s, just leading us up to today, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. So, I've basically built my whole career and my business around my financial mistakes. Several years after I graduated from college, I crashed and burned financially. And it was pretty bad. I owed 3 different payday lenders money. I was parking my car like a half a mile away from my apartment. The ironic part was I had an accounting degree. I was working for my family's business, for the business that my dad started. About a decade before I worked for him as their accountant. So, it was very humbling, and I felt really ashamed that I had gotten myself into this mess. And, the other part of the story was I was engaged to a guy who had really terrible money habits. And it was just in general a dysfunctional relationship. So there were more problems than just the money. I was always bailing him out of his money messes, but I also literally bailed him out of jail.
Wow.
On more than one occasion. Yeah, true story.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny because when people are like, oh my gosh, like that's crazy. And I'm like, well, I've got like way more stories than that. And that was why I wrote my book, Money is Emotional, because I really wanted people to understand that our hearts can hijack our wallets. And if we don't have control of our emotions around money, then it can cause us to, really do some very serious damage to our finances that we're going to regret later, that we're going to end up feeling ashamed about later if we don't have the right tools to work through those situations.
Right. And so, help me with this, Christine. So, you talk about in your 20s going through that emotional mess financially, but we're emotional beings, right? And
Yes.
in growing up, we are in high school, even in college, everything's emotional. I remember going to college and getting my first offer for a credit card. That $500 credit card, kind of gets you in a lot of trouble over time. Well, it got me in a lot of trouble over time because I didn't know how to manage it. I saw my parents manage money pretty well, but it didn't translate as well in my own personal life. How do you get people, even today, from that high school, college transition, or just young 20s, to really understand money? What's the trigger for them to go that far?
Well, I think a lot of times and it's with everything, the pain of staying the same has to be worse than the pain of changing. And so whether it's in your finances, in your health, personal development, etc. When sometimes you just have to get to that point of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. And for some people, it's not as dramatic as my story. For some people, they're just tired of being stressed about money. And that's when they decide to pick up a book or, to hire a money coach or to go to a financial literacy class or whatever the case may be. But I think a lot of times people have to get to that point to say something has to change.
Right. Right. It reminds me of the story, the dog that's sitting on the porch on the nail and he just howls all day long. I don't know if you've heard this. And then somebody asks, why is he howling? And it becomes like, because he's sitting on a nail, why doesn't he get off the nail? Because does it hurt bad enough to get off the nail, but it's just enough to make him. And I think you're totally right. We really have to really want to change. Now, help me out. I'm a father. I'm a father of 5 children. My youngest is 14. I don't know if I've done my older kids service yet as far as finances go, but Christine, help me out as a father. What do I do? If you have a teen child or someone coming up, what are some of the things that you recommend that a parent would do with their children to help them understand finances?
Well, the very first thing that you have to realize about kids is that they learn more from what you do than what you say.
Okay.
So you have to model the responsible financial behaviors for them. Okay. They have to see you in action. And then the other thing is to talk about it. I mean, there's so much stigma about money. I think people would rather talk about their sex lives than talk about money.
True.
And so it's important to talk to your kids about money in an age-appropriate way when everyday situations come up. You don't want your kid that's 14,
mm-hmm.
You might want to start giving him some reality checks about how much car insurance costs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, you're going to have to start thinking about these kinds of things. Right. And, this is going to become part of your responsibility as a driver. The other thing that I highly recommend is allowing kids to make their own choices and to fail in a controlled environment. So you were talking about that credit card. If you have a way to say, like giving them a prepaid Visa card with their allowance on it or something like that, and let them experience something like buying some trinket and then it breaks a week later. And then you kind of talk through, hey, what do you wish you had done differently? Why was this a good buy or not a good buy? And have them start taking responsibility for some of those things before they're off on their own.
Good. Okay. So that's a good start for me. I will start making it plain and real to this young man. So look, yeah, because
I've got some resources for you as well that I can refer you to that are more focused around kind of implementing those things with kids.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I appreciate it. And looking at the transition, looking at your book, your most recent, Manage Money Like a Boss, a financial guide for creative entrepreneurs. The title of being an entrepreneur today, it's becoming more and more popular. People want that title because they feel like it brings a certain amount of freedom, value, finances, whatever you want to put on top of it. I'm curious to know why you named it a financial guide for creative entrepreneurs, and what led to that type of title versus just entrepreneurs.
Well, there was one thing that I realized when I was talking to my creative friends. So my friends who are artists, who are writers, who are musicians, many of them feel like because they're creative, they aren't good at math and they aren't good with numbers. And I wanted to give a resource that explained money in a way that didn't talk down to them, that resonated with them, and talked about money in creative ways that they could understand. So, creative people are extremely smart. But if things aren't explained to them in a way that they connect with, then, it just sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. And if you've ever talked to a super smart financial person who doesn't have the communication skills to explain things in an everyday language or to use analogies, then you don't even understand half of what they're saying.
Right.
And so then those people just check out.
Okay.
And in wanting to do that, the other thing that I see with a lot of creatives is that they feel like if they sell their art, they're a sellout. So they have this push-pull of, I want to be famous, I want to be rich. And yet at the same time, there's this thread of the starving artist and this glorification of giving it away and doing it just for the arts, for the sake of the art and not worrying about the money. Well, you're not going to be an entrepreneur very long if you don't worry about the money.
True. You better have a job.
And so I wanted to,
yeah.
Exactly. It's like entrepreneurship it's hard. I mean, this
Yes.
is hard. And, if you're not serious about it and you're not treating your art as a business, as an entrepreneur, you're going to have much less stress if you just go get a job and do your art as a hobby.
Yeah. And that's so true. So understand the creative piece, a creative entrepreneur, you do have to, and Maximize, hope you're listening to this, that, you have to speak in the language. If you're looking to inspire, encourage, to pull people along, speak in their language. Don't try to speak over their heads. And I think you're an anomaly, Christine, when you're talking about an accountant that does coaching or does speaking. I mean, I took accounting classes in college, and I halfway through I left it because I didn't connect with the people and went to marketing and graduated marketing instead. And because I love the whole sales, outgoing, extroverted speaking type situation. So you are an anomaly being an accountant and plus being someone that's outwardly like you're doing, but also helping people that are creative, understand and guiding them doing the financial path as well. I love the title, Manage Money Like a Boss, because that's what it's about. And just going a little bit deeper on that, when you're talking about people, entrepreneurs that, that have a hard time pulling the trigger and asking for money. I don't know if this is down your lane but how would you consult or coach somebody to pull that trigger to go from, freelance, it's all about just giving away, to, okay, now I really have to ask for something, or I should, because I am in business. What is be that trigger that you would say pulls that for them?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a process, and sales didn't come easy for me in my business at first, because my background was I worked for 13 years for the family business as the vice president of HR and accounting.
Okay.
We didn't socialize. Like, we didn't go to networking events.
Right.
I used to make fun of my brother, who was the VP of sales, and I would say, oh, it's not lying, it's sales.
Yeah.
Because that's what we get, this like sleazy used car salesperson.
Oh, dang.
And I know, and I talk about that in the book. I had to mention my brother and say, hey, Jim, I'm sorry.
That long walk back, yeah.
I know, and so I literally took a whole entire year. I want to say it was in 2016. It was like the year of sales, where I became a student of sales, and I just read and listened to everything I could find out there. And so one of the gurus, which I can't remember which one, said, at its heart, selling is serving. And if you really believe in what you are doing, whether it is the art that is going to enhance someone's life, every time they walk into their office or they walk into their living room and they see that piece of art and it brings them joy, you're serving them by selling this to them. Or, for me, if I am giving you advice that is improving how you communicate with your wife about money, it's helping you to reduce your debt, it's reducing your stress, that's worth me charging for. And if you really believe that what you are bringing into the world is helping people and changing and improving their lives in some way, then that is worth paying for.
I love that. Thank you so much for verbalizing that, because I think a lot of us need to that are listening need to hear that it's okay to ask. It's okay to offer a product or service, because you know it really is helping a life, or changing an emotion or an attitude, or enhancing the quality of a human being's life. And I think that's awesome to hear coming from you. So thank you for that.
You're
Now,
welcome.
Now, asking you this question, and this may be coming into our maximize moment questions, but when you said you hit rock bottom, what is this is probably a switch on thinking of it. What's the beauty of hitting rock bottom? The beauty of hitting rock bottom.
The beauty in hitting rock bottom is there's only one place to go, and it's
There you
up.
go.
For sure. And you know what? It was just like something inside of me just snapped. And, I just felt like I didn't want to keep living that way. My ex-fiance and I fought all the time. And I mean, like, screaming, yelling, it just wasn't good. That's not the kind of person that I am.
Yeah.
And I think in one of those moments, it was just like, no, this isn't me. This isn't who I want to be. And, the very next day, I had a conversation with him, and, we took a walk, and we sat down on this little bench right by this little pond in our apartment complex. And I said, look, I feel like I'm trying to swim across that pond, and you're holding onto my leg. And if I don't kick you off, I'm going to drown, both emotionally, psychologically, financially. And I just said, whether you sink or swim, it is up to you. I said, but I can't do this anymore.
That's good.
And so, well, here's the great funny story. So 3 weeks later, when I go to move my furniture out, he's already got another woman moved in. And last I heard, he was still attached to her leg along with their 2 children.
Okay.
So. And hey, it gets even better. I heard that they live in a trailer right next to his mother's trailer. In the trailer
Wow!
park.
So you made a good choice. Okay.
Well, when I found that out, I came home. It was probably like 6 or 7 years after I had broken up with him. I came home and I hugged my husband so tight, and he's like, "What's going on?" I told him, and he's like, "You could have been queen of the trailer park." That's like, I know, I love you so much.
You're like, thank you. Oh man, looking back, we appreciate the things in the present. I tell you, you're like, oh yeah, it could have been a lot worse. Oh, thanks for sharing that. Now, I do want to, you just knowing you don't seem like a person that would get upset, but I'm just.
No, I mean, I can laugh about it now. I mean, back then it felt like the end of the world.
Right. I know. I'm sure. And just piggybacking on relationships too, and you might have answered this question already, but if a married couple has challenges financially, meaning that they both see that they want to improve their financial state, but they're having a hard time sitting down and going through all that, what do you suggest? And like really just sitting down and mapping it out. What do you suggest, or what are the emotions that might be holding them back, or any of that name?
Yeah. Well, actually, I have people do something first before they even sit down to review their numbers and make adjustments to their spending. And that's what I call a dream session, and I do this with all of my clients. I ask them one very important question, and that is, if you woke up tomorrow and you felt really good about your money, what has changed? And to have both of the spouses really articulate that and say, well, if I woke up tomorrow and felt really good about our money, here's what's changed. We have $10,000 in our savings account. We have our student loans paid off. We're not putting our vacation on credit cards. I'm not worried about, things clearing through the checking account before our paycheck gets there, or whatever the case may be. And just letting each person take their turn without the other one interrupting to just verbalize, this is what I want the end result to look like. And chances are the picture's probably going to be very similar. And then what I have them do is do a vision board of what does their preferred financial future look like? Is it a different car? Is it a vacation to Ireland? Is it a Harley? Is it, that the kids' college fund is fully funded? Whatever those things are, because here's the thing. This is all about harnessing the emotions.
Mm-hmm.
When you have those moments where you have to decide, am I going to bump up my 401k contribution or, the contribution into my child's college savings or whatever the case may be, or am I going to spend it on this? When you've done the vision board and you hang it someplace where you and your spouse see it all the time, it makes it much easier for you to maximize those moments and to choose the right thing, because it's easier to say no to the wrong thing when you know there's something better. But if you haven't really clarified what that is, then it's just so easy to say, whatever. Let's just go to the movies. I'm stressed. We deserve to blow off some steam.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. That's beautiful. That was so beautiful. Thank you for that. Guys, I hope you guys follow up with Christine after this show just to get some more information. She's got some great nuggets. And we're going to move to our maximizing moment questions. If you're good with that, Christine.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, ask a series of questions and helping people that are looking to maximize different moments in their life, whether it's career or life, and bringing some of your wisdom and nuggets to the table for them. So our first question, Christine, is give me your favorite quote and explain why and how it helps you.
Yeah, and actually, I pulled this quote off my vision board, and I know you're the only one that can see me here on the video, but you can see part of my vision board behind me.
I do see it.
So this quote is actually from Les Brown, and it says, "I advise you to say your dream is possible, then overcome all the inconveniences, ignore all the hassles, and take a running leap through the hoop, even if it is in flames."
I love it.
Yeah, that one always gives me chills. Yeah, I just think, your dream is important enough for you to be inconvenenced.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love Les Brown too. Yeah, and I do see your vision board. Love it.
I actually have two of them.
Do you?
Yeah, and actually the one behind me got so overfilled that there's actually another one on the other side of the closet.
So, keep expanding.
Because my husband wanted to add extra things to it. So
keep expanding. I love that.
Yeah. We had to put a Dodge Charger on there. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Second question is, give me a moment, Christine, where when looking back, you let slip away and it impacted your life at some level.
You know what? I think there was a lot of moments in that relationship with my ex-fiance where I should have taken a stand and I should have done the right thing and I didn't. And so what in particular is probably like my worst, most embarrassing money story. It was where I should have stood up to him and said no, because he got arrested and was in jail for DUI. And he basically said, you got to come up with this bail money and get me out of here. And I mean, I had no money. We were living paycheck to paycheck, and I probably already had at least one payday loan out. And so I actually sold some stock that my dad had given me as a gift for my 21st birthday to bail him out. And that's like one of those decisions that I regret, even though it was not the biggest money mistake in terms of dollars. But I really wish I would have drawn the line in the sand. And I really wish that I hadn't done that. And so sometimes, when you feel like you should stand up to someone and then you don't, you almost just feel yourself caving in on the inside, and it's just like, that's not a good place to be. That's not a good place to be. But my poor husband, I have no problem standing up for myself now. This is for you. It doesn't get away with anything.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Thanks.
Therapy works.
Thank you for sharing that. Um, have you ever had a time, Christine, where you knew there was more for you to do in life or accomplish, but were in a position or job or career that didn't quite line up with that? How did you maximize that moment?
Well, I did leave the family business to start my own thing and to do financial coaching full time. And I would like to say that as soon as I realized that that's what I should be doing, that I left the job right away. But I'm someone that's very loyal. I'm very loyal to my family. And I'm also very stubborn. And sometimes I think like God or the universe has to make me like really super freaking uncomfortable for me to let things go and to take some of those scary risks and leap through the hoop. That's why I have that quote on there.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was hard to do, because it wasn't just quitting a job. I had to tell my dad, I'm leaving the company. I had to tell my brother, I'm leaving the company. I made really good money. And, to most people on the surface, I was part owner of the company. So most years I was making six figures. And so to someone looking in from the outside, they would be like, why would you give up almost $100,000 a year, to do this thing where there's no guarantee?
Right.
And you're helping people who have problems with their money. Like, how are they even going to pay you?
Good questions. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, you know what, but when you feel deep down in your heart that you have something to share with people, and, I started doing financial coaching as a volunteer at my church first. And then a couple of years later, I actually started a part-time business. But there came a point to where I knew that this is what I was put on this planet to do, that, I was supposed to share my painful memories to let people know that you're not alone, you can get through this, and just to share all those lessons that I learned about, how you can harness your positive emotions to achieve your goals and ways to short circuit those negative emotions so that your heart doesn't hijack your wallet.
Right.
And so it's like, this has become my life's mission. And, I just have to trust that the money's going to come, whether it's through the book sales, through the coaching, through the speaking engagements, etc. And, there's going to come a point, and I have a feeling it's going to be real soon, that my income from doing this is going to far surpass what it was at the family business. And there's just so much, it's hard to put a price on it when someone comes to you and says, working with you saved my marriage. Or, because of you, I do really feel good about my money. I mean, I have people say this to me on a regular basis, and it's really hard to put a price on that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. And the next question is, do you have a story of a time that when maximize the moment was important or meaningful to you?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to talk about a time when I spent money and it was actually very meaningful. My brother and I, for my dad's 70th birthday, we took him on what we would consider a dream trip to Greenbrier. So if you're not familiar with Greenbrier, it is in West Virginia.
Okay.
It has the Greenbrier Hotel Resort. It's been around, I think, for almost 100 years. It's really, really very beautiful. And they have a PGA golf course. My dad loves to golf. And they also have the country's oldest golf course there. And so you actually play it with the old-fashioned hickory sticks and like the leather balls from like the turn of the century. And there's like sheep grazing on the golf course. And I mean, it was just, it was expensive. It was. But it was like my brother and I and my dad just had so much fun together. And we were, I was purposely very mindful about everything that went on the vacation. It was like we spent this money and we enjoyed every single minute of it. And, we enjoyed spending time together. And, I think I like to say you invest money in experiences because, those memories just, they grow more fond to you, as your relatives age and, you lose people. It's like the things that you really remember, it's like you don't remember the stuff that you owned.
Right.
You remember the things that you experienced with other people.
Right.
So, yeah. And so that's one of, that's a really great memory. And we actually made like a little commemorative book with a bunch of pictures from it. And so, yeah, I think that was pretty awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, maximize. You got to create memories, and using your money to do that. Hey, that's a quality way to do it.
Yes.
Christine, how would you define a maximizing moment?
I think it's, I think it's that moment where you're forced to choose between being your best self and just being average. It's like, sometimes sometimes the consequences aren't earth shattering. But if you think about even the small things and, if we think about like maximizing our money moments, a lot of them are really small. When you get a raise, do you bump up your 401k contribution by 1% or 2%? Because that would be being your best self.
Right.
And sometimes I will tell people, make the decision that you're going to be happy with a year from now.
Love it.
And so I think when you have some of those choices, it's like, am I going to be happy with this choice a year from now? I mean, if you're choosing between vanilla ice cream and chocolate ice cream, that's not a maximizing.
No. Right.
It doesn't matter.
Just go with Neapolitan, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thanks
Or
for
my
sharing.
favorite.
Right. All right. So our maximize are all about action steps, but if you could share 3 immediate action steps as we close here to take for a person to maximize to define a moment in their life, what would that be?
Yeah. So of course I'm going to focus on the money. So if you have a choice to make with your money, here's the 3 things I would do. First of all is take a deep breath and be present. Do a gut check. And then go with the choice that you're going to be happy with a year from now.
Be in the moment, do a gut check, and be happy with your choice, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And if you had any parting words that you can leave with Maximizers today, comments or instructions, I'll give you the chair, the mic for a couple minutes, and whatever you need.
Yeah, well, and especially for those people who are creative and kind of feel like, I don't really need that much money, or the money's not the most important thing. The one thing that I would say to them and to everybody that's listening is, you and money can change the world. Can you change the world without money? Of course. I mean, you can improve people's lives. You can speak positive things into people. You can volunteer. But here's the thing. If you're financially healthy and if you're financially prosperous, money is like a megaphone. And if you have a message and you have a cause and you have charities that are close to your heart that you want to help, you can do that much more effectively if you're financially healthy and you have money left over.
Good. Great parting words.
Thanks.
Oh man, I know we gave your website earlier, but Christine, how can the audience find you? What are you promoting? Book right now, website, video, etc.
Sure, I got all kinds of good stuff. So I just actually today debuted my new 7 week video course, which is called Financial Dignity on Demand. And so that's what the website is, financialdignityondemand.com. Um, and that's essentially everything that I go through with my one-on-one coaching clients. So it's just no direct access to me. I'm just teaching you everything via video. Um, and then since we talked about money is emotional, if they go to moneyisemotional.com, that will take them to my website and they can actually download the first 3 chapters of the book. And actually, both of my books are free for Kindle Unlimited users.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I've got tons of free stuff on the blog too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, you have it maximized, just giving you every avenue to help you master your money and become the person that you really see yourself becoming when it comes to finances and how truly financial wealth and well-being can really transition and change your life. And so, thank you so much, Christine Luken, for your time. I've really enjoyed this episode. I hope to. There's so much more, I think, questions we can ask, and hope to have you on again down the road because I think this is not a topic that's going away anytime soon. It's a very hot topic as long as the world keeps spinning. So, thank you for all you're doing in the world today, and thank you for giving your time, energy, and your presence to the Maximizers today.
Hey, thanks for having me, and I will gladly come on again.
Awesome. Maximize, I hope that you enjoyed this, and this episode is really meant to really maximize any given moment in your life towards success. God bless you, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hey guys, thank you for joining on this fire episode of Maximizing Moments with Milton. Please join my MiltonHerring.com. Sign up for my email digest. You get it weekly in your inbox, fire in your inbox. Thank you for sharing, listening, and commenting. And again, God bless you guys.